all the media narratives are so bad. It's such propaganda. They're looking for like-minded people to actually form communities with. For example, like you mentioned Team Cast earlier. One of his main thing is he's actually doing community building, because he's like, he's building like a farm or something, you know. And to be a member of his, you get access to Discord, so you communicate with everybody else as well. Basically, it's effectively have a forum, so you can find other people who are also audiences of the podcast to communicate with, and then you go, oh, you're from there as well. Well, you know, and then you become friends with them. So yeah, I think that is
that's
very
what
strong.
like a New Culture Forum is a bit doing as well, like with their locals program and stuff, and they're creating this. I went on one of their locals program, and it was brilliant, because it wasn't people who are connected with anything. It's just normal people, and you're just hanging out with them, and you're just creating connection, but also giving them some encouragement, like you're not alone. You're not just talking to a person on like a screen. Like, it's important to do that community work. Hello everyone, welcome to the World of Momos podcast, and on this segment of Reflections and Reactions, we have Jonathan Wong with us. Jonathan Wong is a video and photo journalist by trade, and currently as the lead producer of the really famous podcast Lotus Eaters. But by the time this recording comes out, he won't be working with them, and he would be with his new employer. So today, what we're going to talk about is mainly the how the podcasting world has evolved and where the new media is going ahead. And also, we will talk about various other things, whatever that can come up in our minds. So, hi there, John. How are you?
Oh, hi, Mo. Lovely to be here. Yeah, great to be here.
Yeah,
thanks for the invite.
Yeah, no worries. Like, thank you for coming on. Hopefully, like, whatever your new job is at the time that it comes out is going to be good.
Well, basically, I'm just going to be doing more like management role kind of thing. At the moment, I'm more producer role, so kind of like a back end production manager / producer for the Lotus Eaters.
Yeah. So we're going to dive straight into Lotus Eaters first, so that we can get a relevance of where the new media is going. So when did you start working with Lotus Eaters?
Well, in fact, I started working before the Lotus Eaters.
Oh, really?
I first got a little bit more. Well, let's start right from the beginning.
Yeah.
I got a little bit more political around maybe 2015, 2016 kind of time.
All right, yeah.
And at the time, I started following Carl when he was still known as Sargon of Akkad channel. So I met him through some of the live events. I believe he did like a This Week in Stupid Live. I think that was in Hyde Park. So I went there. I had my camera because I've been a photographer for years. I've been a photographer since like the beginning of the noughties. So I took loads of photos. And then one day, and I also ran a few events and stuff for him as well, because I also used to run the Liberalist Facebook groups for him when he started that back in the days. So anyway, and also I also ran his MEP campaign for him.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
When he stood for UKIP, right?
Yeah, when he stood for UKIP. Yeah. So how the videography stuff start was 2018. One day he gave me a call. He said, "John, what are you doing on Sunday?" I'm like, I don't know, but you sound like you're a proposition for me. And he said, Steve Bannon. I'm like, what? It's like, well, you always good with cameras, right? I've got interview with Steve Bannon. You got a camera. Come over, help me video it. And I said, I'm a photographer, not a videographer. But I'm like, okay, well, how hard could it be?
Yeah.
You know, the transition between photos and videos can't be that hard. So I bought some lights of Amazon and then rocked up at the Browns Hotel in London and met with Carl, and we waited for Steve Bannon to arrive. And the whole thing, I was using Carl's cameras, which I've never seen before, let alone touched or used. and the interview came out great. That was the Steve Bannon interview. And then since then, I helped him with various other interviews. And eventually he's like, John, you know, it's getting embarrassing. I've got to like pay you some money for it.
Yeah.
So he became because I always did some freelance photography, like gigs and maybe a few weddings here and there. So he became like one of my bigger clients for my freelance work. And then and then eventually when he decided to start Lotus Eaters, he asked me to be his full-time staff. So me and Callum were his.
When did he start Lotus Eaters?
I think it was 2000. Technically, we were aiming to start in September, But by the time we actually got the office built up, we got everything set up and a website to launch, it was November 2000, I believe.
No one.
Yeah, so November 2000, so 4 years basically we've been around.
2000.
So we had
November 2019.
2000,
Yeah?
no 2000.
2000. Sorry.
Yeah, so we had a third birthday last year. So this year we're running up to the fourth year, running up to the fourth birthday.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. And Callum was, like you were saying, he was there from the start as well.
Yeah. Me and Callum was first two full-time staff. Callum, basically, when he did the MEP campaign, Callum was his defensive. Well, you can see by his handle, secretary.
Yeah.
So I did all the tech work. I did all the tech work. Callum did all the organizing stuff, like secretary stuff.
Yeah. And now, like we already know that now, even at the point of recording, that Callum is leaving, or already have left.
He's leaving. He's leaving. Well, by the time this goes out, he would be gone. But at the moment, he's still there. He's still got another, a couple of weeks, maybe. Yeah. He wanted to
feel
pursue.
Strange in the whole Lotus Eaters family.
He wanted more time to pursue his his travel work, basically.
Yeah, I loved his travel work, like especially the one where, not the one in Afghanistan, because that was interesting as well. I forgot which. Oh yeah, the one that where he went to Poland, because my wife is Polish and I've been going back and forth to Poland for the past 13 years. And whenever the independence march comes along, everyone, like over here, and everyone, all the lefties in the world, label it as racist and stuff, like not understanding the whole dynamics of it. And and so I really liked the way that he covered it with a very broad view, and then sat down with one of the politicians who was actually considered very radical. But when he sat down with him and he said his words, his views and stuff like that, it kind of showed really well where Callum can transition into, because before he wasn't doing these sort of interviews while going somewhere and then interviewing the politicians as well, or some figures as well. So I can see where he's transitioning into as a travel blogger, but podcast, but a bit more to it. And he really immerses as well, like within the culture. So yeah.
Well, by the time this goes out, I think he'll probably be in Vegas.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because he loves the Fallout series, so he's going to go to Vegas and do some stuff related to that. And then he's going to Rhodesia, I believe, Zimbabwe. So yeah, so it'll be some interesting stuff. He took multiple jabs to go to Zimbabwe. One of it really done him in. He was like, "I'm not sure I can go on a podcast. I'm not feeling very well." After he came back from the jab, I'm like, okay.
But but that sort of shows like it's been it's coming up to 14 years, right, for Lotus Eaters.
4 years, 4 years.
Oh, sorry, 4 years, messing up.
14 on it will.
Yeah, 2020. Coming up to 4 years, but even within that time, we've seen, I think so, this fast evolution we've seen during the pandemic, where the podcasting has really shot up. And it's not because podcasting wasn't famous before, it was famous before. But I think so it's because it's sort of like a sport is famous, right, on its own, and people would be watching it a lot and stuff like that. But when a lot of amateur teams come up and they start playing five-a-side or stuff like that, the interest from the technical side of that sport goes way up, and people's interests go up, right? And I think so that is sort of like the effect that happened during the pandemic, because a lot more people started doing podcasting. And when they started doing it and they failed as well, a lot of people failed. High majority of the people failed and they went out of it. But they appreciated more what the podcasters was doing. And it wasn't just like, someone was just setting up a camera and recording stuff and that was it. They understood finally how much it takes to do it. So they started appreciating it more. I think so that's what the increase in interest in podcast and the appreciation of it has gone up because of that.
I think a lot of it is to do with the podcasting world is very different to the traditional news media. Traditional news media, people are just addressing the audience and just telling them stuff.
Yeah.
Right. But the podcast, you very much feel like how do I call it? It's a little bit more sense of community into it because you can relate to the person in the podcast a
Yeah.
lot more than traditional media, like
Mm.
news anchor, so to speak. So I think that's fun. That's what makes something successful or not successful, is how relatable they are to the audience.
Mm.
So yeah, that's why I think it's something that's very different. Because most people, like, they watch any podcast, it is the charisma, the person that's, it's not like, for example, like Tucker Carlson left Fox News. People don't watch Fox News for Fox News.
Yeah.
They watch Fox News for Tucker Carlson. It's more about the personality, the person you like.
Yeah.
You find them personable and you find them relatable. I think that's very important.
Yeah, and I think so that's why like podcasting was picking up. But I just feel like since more people started doing it themselves as well, they started appreciating like how much work goes behind it. It's not just like a camera and lights and like and just you start doing it. I mean, it's easy enough to say that, but when you actually get down to the editing parts of it and stuff, and also trying to understand the marketing side of how to get your content up so other people can see it, and so many different things when it comes to it, I guess that's when people start appreciating like, okay, this is a bit more than it. And I think so that period has also helped a lot of podcasts to expand a lot more. Like I've seen Timcast, like what Tim Pool does, that has expanded so much more into doing so many other contents. Lotus Eaters have that element. I love the Epochs series, the history series. That's the reason why I actually subscribe to Lotus Eaters.
Oh, that excellent! Bo will be so happy to hear that.
Yeah.
Oh, in addition to that, we are launching a magazine at the moment as well.
Oh, wow.
So watch out for that. He might or might not be out by the time this goes out, but there's a magazine coming as well.
Yeah.
The Islander. Rory's worked really hard on it. It looks amazing. You're gonna love it.
Oh,
yeah. It absolutely looks amazing.
Yeah, and that's that's why I like trigonometry as well, because they started from interviews, but they seem like they want to expand more. Or the New Culture Forum, where they have different elements to their podcast. Like it's not just a podcast; they have their research teams and stuff like that, and they produce papers and stuff on it. I think so. Hopefully, people are like seeing that this is a better medium to to spend their time and effort and money into it.
Well, also is people looking for at the moment, because all the media narratives are so bad, there's such propaganda. They're looking for like-minded people to actually form communities with. For example, like you mentioned Team Cast earlier. One of his main thing is he's actually doing community building, because he's like, he's building like a farm or something, you know. And to be a member of his, you get access to Discord, so you communicate with everybody else as well. Basically, effectively have a forum, so you can find other people who are also audiences of the podcast to communicate with, and then you go, oh, you're from there as well. Well, and then you become friends with them. So yeah, I think that is
that's
very
what
strong
like
point.
New Culture Forum is a bit doing as well, like with their locals program and stuff, and they're creating this. I went on one of their locals program, and it was brilliant, because it wasn't people who are connected with anything. It's just normal people, and you're just hanging out with them, and you're just creating connection, but also giving them some encouragement, like you're not alone. You're not just talking to a person on like a screen. Like it's important to do that community work.
Yeah, no, Peter Whittle is amazing, because I've known him since, like, because when Carl and Paul Joseph Watson did the UKIP thing, we all joined UKIP, so I met him through that. And did you know at one point I was there, I controlled the UKIP official handle. I was their social media for a year and a bit, until oh well, they imploded through internal politics, but that's another story. So I met Peter Whittle through that, and he was already thinking about starting his own podcast slash basically doing his own show already then, because I had a few conversations about it with him at the time as well. I think that's probably back in 2018, 2019. Yeah. In those years.
What do you think? What do you think is the future of it, and how? Because the thing is, like, sometimes when you see the subscription numbers on let's say YouTube or wherever, sometimes people are fooled by that as well, even if they see higher numbers, right? So let's say we see someone having 1 million subscribers, they might think, oh, okay, like this is really famous in their country, but it might not be famous in their country. It might be famous in some other country, right? So usually with mainstream media, whatever their views are, usually it is primarily from their country, right?
Hmm.
From their country of origin where they are broadcasting it, unless it's a streaming channel or stuff like that. How do you see, like, within England, it expanding more and more, and how we can capture, because there's a lot of content, let's say like what Lotus Eaters does, right? A lot of it is like it's not relatable to a lot of other people who might not be into history, who might not be into too much of politics and stuff, because there isn't, there aren't like soap operas over there, there aren't like game shows over there, or like, something to take your mind off, right? But this is where the daytime TV still wins, because they're providing that. So how do you see
Well,
that expanding to include those people as well, and just take everything away from mainstream media, basically?
well, no, this is actually like one of the main points is like the Lotus Eaters podcast. Other than just news, is that also entertaining?
Hmm.
So I think it's important to be entertaining as well, because people need to enjoy your show, because people want to be entertained.
Yeah.
People want to know the news, and people need to be entertained. So there's no
Hmm.
reason why they have to be separated. If you separate them, then you essentially splitting your own audience base.
Yeah.
So the podcast is still the most viewed thing on Lotus Eaters
Hmm.
essentially. Um, I think one way to expand is not just on the type of audience. I think you can, because everything that's happening in the West is happening everywhere in the Anglosphere.
Yeah.
So it might be a story in the UK,
Hmm.
but it actually matches the global narrative that's happening around everywhere,
Hmm.
because it's happening in Canada, it's happening in America.
Hmm.
So it's kind of like it's a local story, but the narrative is global because of,
Hmm.
Klaus Schwab, the World Economic Forum. Everything is globalism.
Yeah.
So they are pushing the same policies, net
Yeah.
zero, in every single country. It'll be New Zealand, it'll be Australia. So I think that is interesting. If I think we should broaden people's horizon into the stories that not necessarily just happening in your country also will impact you as well. Because something that happens in America, it might come to UK in 6 months' time. So you need to be aware of that.
Mm, mm. But also, like, if we have something, what we have seen, Daily Wire do, right? So not just podcasting and conversations and stuff like that, but also they're trying to make movies, and eventually, in few years' time, they will become mainstream in that sector as well. So something like that as well, like bringing the entertainment to that. I don't know which podcasts in UK will do it first, but
Well,
I think so someone will eventually start doing it, because there's
I
a lot more capital in there. A lot of comedians are feeling, so many of them can do sketches and, like, can do shows and stuff, which can have a proper platform.
Well, it depends. I mean, if you want to do like just like a TV show or something,
Hmm.
then the budget doesn't have to be that high. But if you want to do like a full feature movie like Daily Wire is doing,
Hmm.
then you're talking like multiple millions,
Hmm.
tens or maybe hundreds of millions of actual, resources that's required.
Hmm.
So it will probably be coming from America, because if you think about the actual number of people in each of the countries,
Yeah,
America, I don't know, it's like 260 million or something like that. I can't remember the exact
300
number.
and something million.
300, sorry.
Yeah.
And the UK is only like 66 to 68
Yeah.
million people. So the actual potential audience is actually a lot smaller.
Hmm.
So, for example, Jeremy Boring actually said last year that I think near November or Christmas time, he said that, actually no, 2023, I think, last year, they said they already have 1 million paid subscribers. And that is an
Hmm.
immense number if you think about it.
Yeah.
Because if you have 1 million subscribers in the UK, that's like what, 1 in 6 people subscribe to you on in
Yeah.
the whole country. No, 1 in 60 people
Yeah.
subscribe to you in the country. That is staggering. So I think if there's anything that big, it will be coming from America. So short sketches and comedic
Start
stand-up
from
things.
somewhere, right? To start from somewhere, because you can always include the indie movies that are already been made, already been produced, just giving them a platform, and not really producing it, but starting off by giving people a platform so that they have access to an audience, and that building that up to grow the number of subscribers and stuff to eventually have that. But you're right, like, because they have an infrastructure in America that is conducive even to the indie movies, that they have more money coming in over there as well because of the size of the audience. So it makes it easier for them, which is
Mm.
why probably like the digital world, connecting the digital world is important in that way. Like how Netflix does and stuff. Like it doesn't matter where it's been made; it's been broadcasted everywhere.
Yeah, and also another thing is the cost of living in other countries are quite different, because Callum actually today, well, by the time this goes up 2 weeks ago,
Yeah.
did a segment today on the differences in the earnings in America compared to the UK,
Hmm.
and you can be a fast food store like Chuck E. Cheese or something. A general manager there of a store can earn
Hmm.
100K,
Yeah,
and in the
I was
UK,
checking that actually because there was an ad over there, right?
yeah,
They were
Callum was
giving.
covering this today, and
Yeah,
he's like, "What? You can be a fast food store, like work
yeah,
there for a few years and get 100K. In the UK, if you earn 100K, you're like 1 percentile type
yeah.
level.
I mean, and
It's just
100K in America, it's not bad. Like, it's not like,
well,
if you live decently and you're not like living lavishly,
yeah,
it's really good pay. 100K, it's not bad.
yeah. I know, but you think about it, it's like it's a fast food store.
Yeah,
No, you're not like you're not like a managing director of like some
yeah.
company, a tech company in the UK or something. And yeah,
But it's
so
their biggest product, isn't it, as well?
yeah,
Fast food.
probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, so that's actually one of the reasons why Callum wants to like go do some stuff in America, because he wants to see like explore
Hmm.
like what it's like over there as well. So
Yeah. I mean, that's actually a very interesting point because, like, coming away from the podcasting world, um, in the world of politics and stuff like that, I sometimes have people like because we are so toxic, everything around right now, like everyone is like at each other's throat. Sometimes I get like some people saying, "Oh yeah, you should also get out of the country," blah 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 blah. Not understanding why I came to the country, right? So this is why I try telling people, it's like, if you think I came to Britain 14 years ago for the money, you must be an idiot, because because I could have gone to America and I I could have been 10 times well off. I didn't come here for the money. But people don't understand that point. Like, that their market is pretty huge, and their incentive structure is very different than ours. We have made people dependent, and we sort of like made people dependent on the welfare system,
yeah,
so much so that that you don't have to earn that much. What do you need it for? We'll take care of you. We'll take care of all your needs while they take care of
yeah.
nothing.
This is the problem in politics as well, because this is why politics always steer towards the left, because
Mm,
which government? How can you be? You're not going to have a campaign pledge of cutting benefits. Let's put it that way.
yeah,
That's not a winner. Everyone wants more. So if you offer people more, they'll vote for you.
yeah,
So you only ever go one way.
yeah,
I mean, I would vote for a government that literally does absolutely nothing.
yeah,
We're going to cut taxes. I'm going to do nothing.
yeah,
I don't even care. No police. I don't care. I'll defend myself. Just don't do anything.
yeah,
Just leave me alone.
yeah,
I can fend for myself.
yeah.
I'm happy. Okay.
I mean, I
Literally
would
nothing.
vote. I would vote for anyone who comes up and says no welfare system anymore. Like,
Yeah.
we're taking away the benefits, or let's say at least reduce it to only the most vulnerable, like just having a safety
Mm.
net for the most vulnerable only. Not when, oh, I have anxiety, I can't work. Okay, here you go, you got a council tax and you got a benefits coming your way. That is something that really annoys me.
Yeah, no, in fact, having a safety net, having welfare system actually makes people less charitable.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Because no,
Very
because
good point.
people make the operate on the presumption that, oh well, those people, they got welfare, they're fine,
Yeah,
they don't have to, they don't have to be charitable. But if there's no safety net, you don't, well, if that guy don't get like the sandwich that you give them,
yeah,
he will literally be starving. Then
yeah,
you actually build community from that.
yeah. I mean, that's because if you see the history of Britain, the rich people over here used to build hospitals, used to build this, and used to
Mm,
do a lot of charity work. Used to, because the government wasn't there to do it. It was up
mm,
to the community person. So if, like, if that was the person of that community, he would build an orphanage, he would build a hospital because it was his community. And now we are, like you're saying as well, like I was saying before as well. when I was talking to someone that that's the case. Like that's why people don't clean their in front of their homes as well, because they're like, well,
Mm.
the council should be doing it. It's just everyone else should be doing it. It's
Is
not
is
I
is
pay the
is
council for this, so why should I do it?
It's
That.
called tragedy of the commons. I don't know whether you're familiar with the term.
No. Go ahead.
Tragedy of the commons is actually I can't remember how old it is. It's basically the common is where every all the people who's got cattle and things can graze in the commons. So
Mm,
like you go to Clapham Common, the
yeah.
common is where the
Yeah.
grass field is,
Mm,
right? So the tragedy of the commons is because the field belongs to everybody, it belongs to no one. So they all send their cattle to overgraze a little bit, and then the
mm,
field just get screwed up because nobody owns it. But if you own your land, then you'll be like, hey guys, you can't
yeah.
go for do this. If you come here, do your cattle, that's fine. Because there's nobody who owns the responsibility of it,
Mm,
because it's public space, then it always gets worse. It's called tragedy of the commons. Look that up.
yeah.
I'm not
Yeah.
explaining it very well.
No.
Some of your audience will already know this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll
It's a
write it
well-known
down so I'll look
phenomenon.
it up
Yeah,
later.
tragedy
Yeah.
of the commons.
Yeah. Now that's a really good point, and if we transpose that onto the podcasting world, I think so. This is the realization that people are having as well. This is a really good point that podcasting and the new media is sort of reclaiming that we're not dependent on the mainstream media anymore. We're not dependent on the BBC anymore, the one that we pay to 13 or so pounds a month anymore. We can do it ourselves, and that's how it should be. I don't even understand how can the English people, the British people, be okay with having a state run news channel. Like, can you, like, that's like a Russia state like
I
channel. Like, it's weird.
I think it's because like BBC. I don't know. When I was much younger, I used to watch BBC and go, "Oh, this is great."
Hmm.
So I think a lot of people just don't know any better. But
But this is why, like, because most of the people have had help from NHS, right? When NHS was made, when there was less people over here, so they don't know any better. They don't know how private health can take care of them, a lot better than NHS can, right? So that's the same thing I feel like with
well,
BBC that has happened. They don't know what new media can actually do for them.
I think another thing is though it depends because like the everyday person, a lot of them they're not as politically aware as me and you because we've been around for a while.
Yeah.
But for them, they they go to work, they work hard, and then they go home, they watch a bit of TV, and then they eat dinner with the family, and then they go play with the children, they go to bed. Next day, they go to work. So they might not necessarily. It might not be on the peripheral, but now it's getting more common. But it wasn't. If life is good, people just focus living. But now that life is not as good, people will start sticking the ear. Hang on a minute, what's going on here?
Yeah.
People. A lot of my friends who are like I consider non-political that I've known for years are now asking questions. They're like, "Yeah, what's happening here? Like, why is there so many black people on TV?
Yeah.
It's like, what is going on? It's like they're like genuine questions. They're just like, why are there so many gay people on TV? What's it just doesn't match reality.
Yeah.
So.
But this is why I think so. This is why as well, like the new media is very important in helping people think. Now it can be very destructive sometimes as well when nefarious people or the actual grifter gets a lot more influence over people, because they can disseminate like bad ideas into people and like help to create more discord between the society. But that as well is needed because for people to have the bad ideas out there so that they can be combated in a way.
Yeah, no, definitely. So I'm really thankful for Twitter or X,
Hmm.
as they call it now, because he's one of the freest platforms at the moment. Because everywhere else is pretty bad.
Hmm.
I mean, Facebook actually. I think Facebook is a little bit less bad now. I remember there was a period of
I don't know,
time.
is it less bad or have you stopped using it that much?
I don't know. Well, look, I haven't been banned for a long time, so that's probably what makes me think it's less bad. It's still bad, don't get me wrong, but they were like, okay, I don't remember which year it was. Do you remember when Tommy first got banned off Facebook? Okay, so
No, I don't know. Yeah.
whatever year that was, because that was when I first I used to follow him a load of demos and things. I
Hmm.
was outside his courtroom, like filming outside his courtroom. So I had a lot of things on Facebook that had him in it.
Hmm.
But when they decided to ban him, they retroactively banned me for stuff that weren't
Mm.
against the term of service when I filmed it.
Yeah.
So there was a year that I was banned from Facebook for 9 months straight. Just like basically I got a 1 month ban, come back, and then it would be another content remove, another month ban, and then I'll be back for 2 days, and then another month ban. I was like banned for 9 months or a whole year. So I had a profile picture. I'll send it to you later.
Yeah.
Basically, I had a picture. It was me, Carl, and Tommy. And what I done, it was my profile picture, and then it got removed. So I re-uploaded there. So I just basically blacked out his whole face, left his eye slit and a smiley face, and put the word censored on his forehead, and then that was it. So it's really funny. In fact, I might be able to find it and send it to you now.
Yeah,
But,
I'm actually amazed myself because I put my podcast with Tommy Robinson on my YouTube channel, where it's got like over 70,000 views or something, which is pretty huge for my little channel, like, because I'm just starting out. But YouTube hasn't demonetized it yet, and they haven't banned it yet, right? And even though I'm actually on certain points, I'm actually more extreme than him. So it's very interesting. Like,
okay, it's a competition now. Let's see how extreme go. This is the one that's gonna get you banned.
Yeah,
let's go.
Now I actually said it.
Yeah, now that you've said, tell me, Mo, what's your most extreme view? Well, anyway, sorry, you were saying.
Yeah, I mean, it's just that. I mean, I left Facebook a long time ago. Because it's just it was too many social media accounts, and I'm not having it. Minds came up. I went on Minds, and I saw like that was sort of like Facebook but nicer, so I started using it, but then I stopped using that as well because I'm just on X mostly. I wanted Instagram, right? Because of like the funny memes and stuff like that, you get that a lot over there. They made me open a Facebook account to have Instagram. That's why I have a Facebook account now.
I tried using Miners as well. I used it for a while, maybe like a couple of years, and then I stopped using it because I just don't find the interface as intuitive as some of the other platforms. Yeah. So I can't really quite find the things I'm looking for, and it just doesn't feel quite right. Plus, Facebook is like where all my boomer friends are,
Yeah, that's
all my family, my non-political friends are there. Interesting facts, like when Facebook started, I was still at university, so we had like early access. But I used to be a very social person, and when Facebook first started, I only had 700 friends on day one.
Yeah,
yeah. So that's kind of like because I used to before Facebook, there was another website called Don't Stay In, which is basically for like socializing, for clubbing and partying and stuff. So I met a lot of people out. So when Facebook started, instantly transferred all of them to Facebook.
I mean, I think I've deleted my Facebook accounts 3 or 4 times.
Yeah.
I mean, the first time I deleted, like I don't even remember. I had like a lot of friends, but that was the time when I left Pakistan and came to England, right? And I was like, well, I'll be posting a lot of shit about Pakistan. And against Islam and stuff, right? And I just don't want the headache of like, my friends, like
seeing it.
They were acquaintances, they weren't friends. Like my friends already knew because I was already annoying them with it. But those acquaintances, I don't want that hassle, so I just deleted that, and that's when I became more active on Twitter. But then because of my parents, I had to come back because they needed some place, like, whatever, like, and then I was deleting and coming back to Facebook.
Well, I was smart enough when we started getting political that I have a political account and I have a non-political account.
Yeah.
So
I've never done that. Like, I've always had like my account.
So my political one is
like fuck you attitude, like whatever.
Yeah, so my political one is the one I spam all my evil racist views, and my normal account is just where I post pictures of food.
All I have are evil racist views, so.
So I've got his food, occasional gym picture, and then the other account just homophobia, xenophobia, transphobia.
It's interesting as well how social media has evolved. Like you know how Twitter has evolved now, like under Elon, like it has evolved a lot because it's now
Mm,
doing video streaming, and I think so you can have Twitter on your TV as well now, and they have
yeah.
the article space as well where you can write articles. Because I started my Substack, which everyone should go and subscribe to, and I started my Substack, and that time like the article feature came out as well, and they both work sort of similarly in that sense. So it's very interesting how Twitter or X is going to evolve as well in that space and help the podcasting world.
I think if X want to advance and take some of the real estate from YouTube, they need a
Mm.
better way to organize the videos.
Yeah,
Because at the moment, one you only got your timeline. I mean, you have your highlights and you have your favorites,
yeah.
etc.,
But
bookmarks, but you
on
don't have a
highlights,
way to.
everything over there, like there's no organized,
Yeah,
like yeah,
you don't have like a way to go. Okay, this is my podcast. This is my other videos.
yeah,
There's no way to organize it
like a
for anyone who
playlist or
visit your
something.
profile.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what they need to do next.
Mm.
They need to have some way for people to organize the videos. Otherwise, like once your podcast episodes go out, it's gone, and then it's quite hard to find it again. Well, you can search for it, but it's no way people can just have like itemized lists of all your podcast episodes. It just doesn't happen. It's really
Yeah,
annoying.
and that's what it's just not a similar effect, but the same sort of thing with Rumble as well that I found. Like
Yeah.
on Twitter, your videos are going to be viewed if you're famous yourself anyways, which
Mm.
isn't the same in YouTube. It doesn't, you don't have to be famous. So for your video to get a really good hit, it just needs that one video to trend. On Rumble, it's sort of the same, that I joined Rumble, but it doesn't matter about your content. It just, right now it only matters if you're known enough, because there aren't enough users over there, and it's just like all the retail space is being taken up by
Yeah.
like big names. So they're saying like, yeah, go to Rumble, but it's like, yeah, for you it's fine.
Yeah, no, not enough, not enough. Well,
And only
YouTube still
reaction videos
dominate.
are over there.
The reason YouTube dominates is because YouTube is, if I remember correctly, the number 2 website on the planet.
Mm,
Number one's Google,
yeah,
and number 2 is YouTube.
I thought it would be
So,
Pornhub, but yeah.
you are, I don't know.
Probably people use Google to go to Pornhub.
Yeah, you got to search Pornhub, then you're doing something wrong. You already type in the URL in.
You don't know people from Pakistan, right?
Oh goodness! Imagine you got to load up the Google homepage to Google.
Yeah.
Know?
I bet people still do that. But yeah, I mean, you're right. Like YouTube still has that market space, and all it will take YouTube to do is change their management, right? And only change a little bit of their style, stop being so radical, and they will have all their views back. Like anything that they're losing to X or any other channel, website, they'll regain that straight away, because it's just everyone knows YouTube as the home for podcasting. It still is really strong. All they need to do is have a better CEO, change the direction. Anyone who's complaining, just kick them out, like Elon Musk has done.
Yeah, but the thing is, do they want to? That's the thing. Do they have motivation to do it?
Yeah, that's the thing.
Like,
I don't think
because
that they do. I don't think so. They do, because they've been captured. Like, because it's such a
yeah,
it's it's the best way to capture the masses of the world, right? YouTube, because it became so famous. Let it become so famous. It had monopoly over everyone, and now it's like, yeah, other like Rumble and stuff like that. They're trying. Other platforms are trying to chip at it, but they still can't get the YouTube famous sort of way. So that's why they captured. But it might take a Elon type of character to buy it outright, like he done with Twitter,
yeah.
and then that would be a game changer. But I don't know if anyone, because it would be a lot more expensive than Twitter. So
But and the thing is, actually, I don't know. Is YouTube public or not?
I'm not sure.
I'm looking it up now.
Yeah, it might be. Is it?
Yeah, it is a public trading company, so therefore you want to invest in YouTube, you buy shares. Oh no, so, yeah, YouTube isn't a company on its own. It's basically a subsidiary of Google. So
Oh yeah.
can Elon afford to buy Google?
Yeah.
or Alphabet?
Yeah, I forgot about that. That yeah, it's gone too.
Yeah,
Yeah, but that's the biggest capture, isn't it? The
yeah. Well,
monopoly
the
of
search, because if you think about it, like the search engine is your gateway to the world.
yeah.
Like, how do you start looking for anything
Hmm.
if you have a narrative bias in your it's literally the overton window. You're looking everything through Google
Hmm.
to find other things. So
Yeah.
that is literally the window of which you look at the world.
Yeah, and when you search stuff like if you search on DuckDuckGo or any other browser, not any other browser actually, because if you go on Bing, it's a bit worse than Google in that way. Like it just caters to the left wing straight away first. Like you really have to know what you're looking for if it's not left wing
Mm.
for it to show up. And
Yeah,
then it shows up in third or fourth page. So like it has
yeah.
no.
I mean, when's the last time you saw, I don't know, like Breitbart being recommended in a Google search? Unless you specifically type Breitbart in,
Yeah.
you look for a news story that they've covered, but you're not even going to find them.
No. Even if you go, like, if you try to search for Tommy Robinson's website and stuff, and you just put Tommy Robinson, his stuff doesn't come up first. Articles
Yeah,
about him come up first, right?
yeah.
It's like, well, that's a bit weird, but that's not how it should be. If you type a person's name, you should
Well,
cater to it. Their stuff comes first.
it's them doing damage control. It's like they don't want you to see what the other person needs. They want you to
Hmm.
see it through their filtered lens. They want to tell you what to think rather than, oh, here's everything.
Hmm.
Figure out yourself.
And if we connect that to the new media world as well, I guess this is another way how new media can help, because rather than people being connected to the World Wide Web, they would be connected to a community, right?
Hmm.
And within that community, it would be easier for them to understand certain things that are coming through. And that's what you were saying as well. Like, people are going over there to find that community, to find, like,
Yeah.
not nobody has the time to search up for every single thing, right? So, and also, not everyone has deep knowledge or can have deep knowledge about every single subject. So if I might have knowledge about philosophical things or theological things, I will have only surface level knowledge about, like, engineering, right? So I'll have to
Mhm.
depend on someone. So yeah, new media can help in that way as well. If you build your own community, that you have different expertise of different people, and then people can take information from them rather than relying on Google, basically.
Hmm. Yeah, no, it's just a long way to go, to be honest.
Yeah,
Very long way to go.
but it
Yeah.
took it takes every good thing takes a long time, doesn't it?
Well, yeah. No, well, you know the whole thing about uh, it's about men planting trees or for shade they can never sit.
Exactly.
It's kind of like that. Which is the same thing for the politics at the moment because
Hmm.
it's like, well, Labour is going to be in government,
Yeah.
but we have to brave
Hmm.
through the bad for something that new to grow.
Hmm. Yeah.
So no, actually, that's something I want to ask you about, like the whole reform thing.
Hmm.
For example, at the moment, like you got the Conservatives and you got Labour, and Conservatives still running on the ticket that, oh, if you don't vote for us, you get Labour. And now people are like, you know what it is.
Yeah.
14 years. I mean, you like a lot of people's perspective, me included, is that you have to break the deadlock.
Hmm.
We have a deadlock that, well, if you keep voting for the Conservatives, you're going to get the same thing. We're heading for 14 years.
Hmm.
So a lot of they have not repealed anything from the Blair era.
Hmm.
Everything is still going the same direction. The
Hmm.
only thing they've managed to conserve is Blairism. Conservatism. What are you conserving?
Yeah.
Blairism. Everything that Blair brought in, is still there. So a lot of people have you seen the Hitchens making the argument
Yeah.
for, but Labour's really bad, it'll bring things down really badly, and they're like,
Yeah.
well, we know. So the idea is
I think
you have to
he's
burn the
he's
rotting
not a
tree.
young man anymore, right? So he wants his 200 years to be less troublesome, right? So he wants. I don't know. I don't want to kind of put words in his mouth, like, sort of a thing. But I think so. Like, for me, politics is. It doesn't seem like politics is the way right now, because it doesn't matter who we vote for. We're going to get the same globalist elitist shit, right? So no matter who we vote for, even reform, right? Because I've been really disappointed with Reform
Yeah.
because they were supposed to be an alternative, but now they've shown that their policies are so hollow, most of them. They're not really cutting edge or anything like that. They're still very afraid to say what needs to be said. They still want to, like, seems like they still want to be go to the same champagne parties, right? They just want the stigma of them being far right gone away from them, so they can be accepted as another mainstream party. That's the only alternative they're giving. They're not gonna bring any radical change or even any meaningful change in that way. They might be a little bit better than Tories, uh, but that's why I don't see, like, there's just no point. And the way forward is, I think so, to concentrate on reviving the culture, because unless you revive the culture, you're not going to get the leaders that you actually want, right? And people wouldn't know who to vote for what reasons, because people are just like going everywhere. It's better for people not to vote at all right now, rather than try to cling on to these really fringe parties as well, because there's a lot of fringe parties that are coming up whose ideas are more towards like ethno-nationalism and very um, not even soft ethno-nationalism, like very extreme ethno-nationalism as well,
Wait,
right?
what, you mean David Curtin's Heritage Party? I'm joking.
No, no, he's all right.
Yeah, he's all right. I
But
like David. He's
there's
cool.
some little parties that are coming through. It's like, well, there's no point, because they're all reactionary, right? We don't want reactionary. We want something with a vision. The reason why politics today don't have a vision is because our culture doesn't have a vision. Our it doesn't seem like the nation understands its own identity anymore, right? So how are you going to
Yes.
get politicians out of that same society? So unless the society is knowing of itself, so that work needs to be done, and
No.
that work is a generational work. And that's why, like,
Yeah.
a
No.
lot of people said, why don't I go into politics? Like, I like my life the way it is. I like my sanity. And B, like, it's not the answer. If anyone is going into politics right now, they're probably just going it for themselves, or for the wrong notion, thinking that they can make an effect where they can't.
The thing is, right, what we have is the left is very good at articulating what they stand for,
Hmm.
and the right isn't. The right only say we're not the left.
Yeah.
That's all they say. Or they say, oh, we are against communism.
Yeah.
Okay, but what do you stand for?
Exactly. What you're for.
I mean, the best they've got is like free market. I mean, like that's economic. It's got nothing to do with
Hmm.
culture. Like, where is the connection between the community of what you stand for? What are your values? Like, or like, will you pick up a sword and fight, or will you? What are your values? What is it?
Yeah.
There's nothing there. It's empty, hollow,
Like,
and that's the thing.
even with Farage, like someone you think like has been banging on about immigration a lot, the Reform Party would have a generational pause on immigration at least. No, one in, one out. It's like, well, even you are not willing to say it. Who's banging on about like the
Well,
boats
yeah.
and stuff
Well,
on the river all the time, like banging on about the road boats, and you still, even your party cannot say we want a complete stop.
they can't. No, they can't even say deport the criminals. I mean, like,
No,
what are you doing?
yeah, there's
Like
still not by liberalism.
they deported their candidates who said deport the criminals. So
Hmm.
that's what happened. They got rid of a bunch of candidates. They
Yeah,
got rid of Bo. They got rid of Ian
yeah.
Harris. They got like a big bunch of my friends got like
Which is
Dan actually got
disappointing,
removed.
because I like, even though, like I say, there's no political way forward right now, but you still need those people in politics, so that when the movement is ready to transfer from cultural to political, that there is some sort of established people in there that can help transition it, right? So you still need people over there, one or two. But the main focus cannot be politics. So it was very disappointing to see like Reform Party that could have had the Lotus Eaters itself as its mouthpiece, right? Carl has been bigging up Farage for so long, and they just turned their back. It's sort of like, what are you
Well,
doing? You had free
it's not the
marketing over
first time
there.
Farage has done it. I mean,
Yeah,
the Brexit Party folded into the Tories, and then same old thing happened again. History repeats itself. Nothing is new under the sun.
yeah.
You know. I think no. I think one thing that needs to be addressed is actually proportional representation.
Mm, mm,
Because first past the post is the biggest obstacle.
yeah.
Um, That's why there's no small party. You get a million votes. You got
Yeah.
no seats. You got no say. So that's how AFD in Germany has is gaining ground. And the same for Good. Is it Good or Wilders? I think
Good, I
Wilders.
think so. I call him
Good.
Good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So him. It's basically all in Europe. All the far right parties are gaining ground is because proportional representation, because they actually represent people.
Yeah.
But now we don't get representation because we've got first past the post.
Yeah.
That is one big obstacle.
And that's why I support SDP because I'm a member of SDP.
All
But
right.
I support them in that way because they are pro proportional representation. It's like, well, people need to make up their mind, be able to vote for what they
Yeah.
actually want. And I have a feeling like they started this, or they let this Muslim thing happen as well, to scare people away from the idea of proportional representation, because the Tories could have clamped down on all this Islamist aggravation that has been going on far easily. But I think so they are purposely not doing it, so that when we talk about proportional representation now, most of the people will be saying, "Oh, so like all the Muslims are gonna get their MPs in and stuff, right?" So they build that scare. That's a part of it, I feel like, because Tories know, like, if
They
Tories and
already
Labour both
have.
know
Hate to
proportional.
break it to you, but through Labour and everything, they already have.
Yeah. Yeah.
The thing is,
Mm.
is actually a blessing in disguise, because now that if they are within a larger party, they're not as apparent.
Yeah.
If they're in their own party,
Yeah.
then what they're trying to do is blame in clear sight. And sunlight is best disinfectant. Let them have their MPs because I can
Yeah.
see what they're doing.
But that's what I say as well. But they're using that to scare people, right? But I say, like, let them have it, because once they have it and they put their views out, then people can officially see it's coming
Yeah.
from the horse's mouth, and then you can see it. So people like me who have been warning you, now you'll finally listen to me when I say, like, Islam itself needs to be banned from UK, from all of West. That is actually my most extreme view. That I'm more extreme
It's not that. It's
than
not that
Tommy
extreme.
Robinson. I think it's
What
way
go up
normal.
a level, deport.
Yeah.
now
No.
I didn't say it. That's what, now that's getting a bit extreme.
Yeah. No, I'll say deport as well.
Whoa, ding ding ding.
Yeah. Close all the mosques.
Demonetized.
Bulldoze all the mosques. Ban
Oh,
Islam.
yeah.
Done with it.
Oh,
I'm telling you.
but yeah,
It's the only way.
it's the only way. Well, ask any ex-Muslim. Right. Actually, I have got. I don't know whether you've seen it before. I posted it before, right? So, people say, "Oh, but they don't represent." Like they always say, "But not all Muslim," right? So, what you want to do is it's called a thought experiment.
Yeah.
So, I don't know whether you read it before. I tweeted before. It's basically, you have a list of all the countries in the world, and then you have the percentage of Muslim population from 0 to whatever the highest percentage is, and then do you see a trend, like, and you plot a graph on one, like, of the human rights condition of those countries, of like women, homosexuals, religious minorities, atheists, and apostates? Is there any correlation you'll notice? That's all you have to think about.
Yeah.
If Muslims don't represent Islam, I don't know what the fuck does. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that is it. That is the thought experiment.
You know what the problem with that is?
Yeah.
The main problem with that is, like, most of the left, they don't know Islam, right? And the other thing is that campaign for Islam is a religion of peace was very strong, right? It was very strong and embedded into people's mind, which was a wrong, a fake sort of a thing, just like Islamophobia. But the thing is, the campaign was very strong and people bought into it. And people had a lot of moderate friends, right? And they thought, like, oh, my moderate Muslim friend represents Islam. What they don't realize is that your moderate friend is actually hated more than infidels within Islam.
Yeah.
There's a concept of munafiq within Islam, which is written in the Quran, right? A munafiq means a hypocrite. And a munafiq, Allah says himself in the Quran that you might be able to forgive the munafiq, but I never will, right? So that's how much God hates a munafiq. And a munafiq is the one who says they believe in Islam, but do not follow all the edicts of Islam, right? Then those are your moderate Muslims. So I might be a moderate Muslim, which I'm not, obviously, because I'm not an idiot. But I might be a moderate Muslim, but there's no guarantee that my kids will be a moderate Muslim. All they have to do is read the Quran themselves. That's all they have to do. Nothing radical, nothing. They just have to read the surah and read the verses which says how much God hates the munafiqs, right? And then they will have to make a choice whether to leave Islam or whether to follow it properly. This is why we're seeing third and fourth generation of Muslims in the UK becoming more radical, because they're not being more radical. They just, as everyone has been telling them, the whole DEI thing, or like you should reconnect with your culture, with your roots and stuff like that. That's all they're doing. They're reconnecting with their roots. They're reconnecting and discovering their religion for what it is. You know,
Yeah, not only that, they actually find that kids who are like second, third generations of immigration children actually have a stronger accent
yeah,
than their parents. Is because they are actively trying to replicate the accents.
yeah. Yeah, and because they're lost for identity, because the whole nation is lost for identity, right? Nobody understands what they're supposed to be anymore. So obviously, people who are like us, who have different ethnicities, if we don't understand the British identity and we don't cling on to the British identity, then we will go back to our ethnic identities. And this is what's happening with those so-called moderate Muslims, because how else are they supposed to connect, right? And we haven't provided, the British government or the British culture hasn't provided them with a stronger connection to themselves, or like there's no pride uh, in the British culture through media, through government, through policies, through everything, right? So that's why they're gonna go towards what they can cling to most, and what they can cling to most. And this is why I say, people might say like my ideas is extreme, that Islam should be banned, by sort of like, it's a bad coding problem. No matter what you do with it is going to result in bad outcomes. Just like communism, why are we allowing communism? Why are we tolerating communism? Do you think someone who takes the communist ideas from point zero to completion will be beneficial for us? Or every time when they realize their ideas is going to be bad for the West? So why are we allowing it as even a thought experiment, right? So, but this is the problem of liberalism. It allows these things to happen. Woke and communism are the endpoint manifestations of liberalism, and this is the liberalism is what is keeping alive, Islam alive in the West as well.
Well, I think that's the problem with tolerance.
Hmm.
You tolerate things that should not be tolerated, and then you end up being a weak host, and you got strong guests,
Yeah,
and that's a recipe for disaster.
yeah.
Because the strong guest will eventually overtake the host because you're
Hmm.
such a weak host. That's your problem.
Yeah, and that is
Yeah.
my real fear for it.
Because if you want immigrants to integrate,
Hmm.
you have to have something for them to integrate into.
Yeah, they
But
need
what
to know.
if you go British values multiculturalism, well, then it's nothing to integrate into.
Yeah.
The definition of I define multiculturalism as a misnomer for balkanism,
Hmm.
right? What happened because you have you by the definitionally you have parallel societies,
Hmm.
and each of them, because they a lot of them don't even speak the same language, so
Hmm.
eventually they become hostile to each other, and then you just have loads of small pockets of individually of what do you call it? So the alignment of the goals of each of the communities
Hmm.
are not the same.
Yeah.
So you're just going to end up with you're just importing conflict.
Yeah, I mean,
It's like,
we just going back to like those tribes in the jungle, like they turned like
yeah,
basically into Africa.
which is the same. Which is the same thing about devolution.
Hmm.
You're splitting. You have one big tribe,
Hmm.
and you're splitting it into mini tribes that compete against each other.
Yeah.
You're breaking your own nation.
Hmm.
You're actually just what do you call it?
But that
You
is
are
the
annexing
goal, right?
yourself.
That is the goal for these sort of for the globalist, anyways, isn't it? Not to have the nations and to
Yeah.
have this mini enclaves everywhere, so that they can turn the whole world into their Star Trek, like fantasy.
Well, it's kind of ironic as well because you have the EU, which is like want to be super,
Hmm.
want to be like a superstructure on top of everything, and they need to, in order to absorb everything, you need to break everything down so that there are no more boundaries between communities. Then we'll be like, oh well, why don't you just run an EU? Because everyone's the same.
Yeah.
It's some sort of universalism.
Hmm. the one
Yeah.
world sort of government and say like
He's
everyone is the same.
very contradictory. So
Mm,
because at one time you say like, oh well, it's so much diversity, and at the same time you say everyone is the same.
mm,
So which is like, you can't have equality. Equality and diversity is diametrically opposed.
yeah, because
Right?
diversity means that you're not equal, right?
Yeah. How can you be diverse and be like, oh, you're different and the same?
You're
No.
equally diverse. Well, how does that
Well,
work?
look. Oh well, look. We got very diverse range of criminal activities between the different ethnicity
Yeah,
groups. Like the numbers are different.
yeah,
Whoa,
yeah,
shit. And then it's suddenly like, no, not diversity. No, not diversity.
yeah.
You
But you
know.
see that like dissociation like a lot on the left, and this is the reason why I left the left a long time ago as well, because I found that they're just not making any logical sense anymore. Like I saw on LBC recently as well, like these clips coming up. I hate LBC, so I don't never watch it.
Oh
But
yeah.
on Twitter, this guy, weird guy, and he was saying about like how much black people are doing the crimes and stuff, and he was stating
Oh, Ollie or something like that. I think, yeah,
yeah,
on a new LCC host, and he's like, oh, but if you bring out, he says something along the lines of, if you say the black culture is more susceptible for criminology, like
yeah,
to commit
to be
crime,
crimes, yeah.
then I'll call you racist. But there's
But
something
he's stating the facts as well at the same time.
now, but there's something that he actually said that is actually, well, interesting. Right, if you think black people and black culture like are
Mm,
synonymous, then you are with the FNet, because you are saying your blood controls what you behave like,
mm,
rather than the culture of people being in the intercities, which is
mm,
full of crime. So he's the one that's anchoring the blood
yeah.
into the crime, and not because he's saying, if you say black culture, he's more susceptible than you racist, because then he's the one anchoring the race into it,
Mm,
not the speaker.
yeah. Yeah. That's
So
interesting.
he's saying, oh, you black, oh, you're more likely to commit crime, rather than you live in that community. That's how your upbringing is. Therefore, you're more likely to commit crime.
Mm, yeah.
Because the other guy, although he's called it black culture, but you can essentially
It's
call it
actually
urban culture.
yeah, it's urban culture.
Yeah, intercity urban culture.
But it has
But
to be said, it's a intercity urban culture which has been most influenced by the
yeah,
black culture in a way, because most of the people in there are of
mm,
that, because they're committing the most crimes and stuff. But at the same time, and they have the most fatherlessness and like whatever rates that they have. It's not all black, obviously. It's like most Caribbean, like sort of different blacks, whatever. You know,
but
different kind
okay,
of blacks that they are.
I was talking to my friends and colleague the other day about that clip as well. But there's, I don't know whether you know. Let me see if I can find it
Mm,
quickly. One moment. Right. So this is an article that I found from 2016.
mm,
Data is on Equal Justice Initiative. It said data shows affluent black kids are more likely to be incarcerated than poor white kids.
mm.
Now, let that sink in.
Okay.
Because, right, so the
Yeah.
left's argument has always been is economically based,
Yeah.
right?
That is
They
not
say
only
poverty
because
causes
they're
crime.
poor. Yeah. It
But
has
this is a
never
left,
bought
like,
into.
so I know they are gearing for saying it's systemic racism that's
Yeah. Yeah.
incarcerating the black
Obviously.
kids, but then it's clearly they say the most, as in like the highest earning
Mm,
class or the wealthiest families, the top 1%, they still commit more crime
yeah.
than poor white kids in America. You're like, okay, well now something's got to give.
Yeah.
Okay, it's got something to do with some sort of cultural issue going on here.
Yeah.
Or if
May-
you have that, then you
Yeah. Because otherwise you have to say like, oh, it's ethnicity based, right? Which
yeah
I'm not really sure how much that is. Um, I think so. That a lot of it has to do with like where you're born and like the culture around
yeah
you and your parents and stuff like that influences a lot of things. There are certain things that are probably inherent to you. Like there will be certain traits that would be inherent to the British people, to the native Brits, that will whatever culture that have influenced them, that will come out one way or another. So it could be somewhat ethnicity related, but it's just amplified by the environment that they're living in. Because
well,
I know a lot of poor people and stuff when I was growing up in different parts of the world, right? So in Arab or in Pakistan and stuff like that, not all poor people were prone to doing crime. It's not like
No,
you can't just say
absolutely.
like just because someone is poor, they have no morality attached to them.
No, you can't look. You can go to I remember traveling through Thailand, and
Hmm.
or you can go to like a little small village in Japan, right?
Hmm.
Small knit community. They're really poor. You can see everything, everything, but it's still tidy and clean, and
Hmm.
there's no crime, and there will be people just,
Yeah.
people like very community based,
Hmm.
right? I don't know whether you've seen it, but there was a video of an old Japanese like food shop.
Hmm.
The shop looks a little bit look really old, but it's still clean and tidy. You can see things are worn down,
Yeah.
but it's still clean and tidy. And there's a couple who got like the back's bent, and they're just
Hmm.
like leaning over, and they're still doing their craft
Yeah.
and doing things. You can see they put their passion into it,
Hmm.
and there's a little village kind of thing. So you can. It's not how poor you are.
Yeah.
It's never that. I've been to like some random remote village in Thailand when I was
Yeah.
traveling, and it's not. You get mugged in the tourist area,
Yeah.
but you go to a random village somewhere,
Yeah.
which is dirt poor, and people are still living in a hut.
Yeah. You don't.
Not, no, there's not. It's not that.
Yeah.
But something slightly different is not slightly different, slightly off topic is when I was growing up, when I was a teenager, I used to read a lot of books on like evolutionary science.
Hmm.
So one of my favorite one I read is Nature via Nurture.
Hmm.
So he's one of Matt Ridley's books. Matt Ridley wrote loads of things about economics actually more
Hmm.
recently as well, but I haven't read much of his recent stuff.
Hmm.
But that brings a really interesting point because back in the days when they used to put kids up for adoption, if they were twins, the default is to split them up
Hmm.
for adoption, so they don't even know. So they make perfect case studies for nature versus nurture,
Hmm.
and they found that in majority of cases, they found twins who are living like in different they grew up in different countries. They will use the same brand toothpaste. They've
Nature
got
takes over.
girlfriends or wives who look pretty much the same. Some of them got the same name.
Hmm.
It's remarkable how close they are. And when they notice a difference, it would be like basically, unless you are deprived of certain things when you're growing up,
Hmm.
you will grow up to genuinely be who you will be,
Yeah.
unless there's some really big event.
Yeah.
Because you still have a lot of innate tendencies, but obviously that scares the left, because the left, like they are more like blank slaters.
Yeah.
They think everyone's a blank. They even think men and
Yeah.
women are identical.
Yeah. I mean that's like this is what I'm saying. Like there's a lot of nature and there's a lot of nurture. There are both things
Yeah.
going on, but at the same time, if because it's not right to say as well like it's just black. Because
No,
it
of
depends
course.
on which area
Yeah.
area where they're from, because there's certain areas where these things happen even in Africa or in Caribbean, but like mainly in Africa as well. There's certain tribes where internal wars and stuff are going on. Not all of them are prone to the same thing,
Oh, absolutely.
right? So but at the same time, if you take all of the diverse people away from London, right, you will not have the same level of crimes. And if there was like all white people, even if they when they
Yeah.
were saying, oh, what about Glasgow and stuff, it's like, well, even in Glasgow when the knife crime was high, the level of crime and the kind of crimes were not the same as we seeing within this subculture. So there is something unique about it.
Oh, that is an interesting point, because like we are so used to saying black,
Hmm.
but no, not all black people are the same, because they found in the UK, like economically, like different groups, if they sub-Saharan black,
Yeah.
they do significantly worse
Yeah.
than like Caribbean blacks,
Hmm.
like really way worse. So like is there are loads of cultural things in there. So
Hmm.
like Nigerian dad is a meme. I don't know whether you're
Yeah.
aware of it.
Yeah.
Like a straight Christian
Yeah.
Nigerian dad is like, "Oh, you son,
Yeah.
come back here and
Yeah.
smack you with flippers or something," So and so it's not just whether you're black or white or
Hmm.
what have you, because like if you tell the Englishman like you're just like the Scots, they were like, "Fuck off."
Exactly. Good point. Yeah.
And if you exaggerate, because like the UK, Britain is actually quite small.
Hmm.
If you exaggerate the geography
Hmm.
to scale of Africa and to China,
Yeah.
and then you think, well, because an interesting point is when I first come to this country, a lot of, like obviously kids are a little bit racist, and it's just banter. Oh, chinky boy and stuff like that. I'm like, what the chinks? What the Northerners? We hate them too. What are you talking about? It's like because like the men too were the Northerners that invaded the South. I'm like, up the heart. I'm not talking about. It's like calling an Englishman, oh, you Scottish bastard. You're like, what? You get confused. It's like, yes, but anyway, so. I think like
but they have made it hard to have these conversations as well, because you can't broach even when you're trying to not be disparaging or not like paint everyone with the same brush, all the black people, even then they are uncomfortable on the left. Even when we are saying like, okay, the black people who are coming, the Christian black people, not the Muslim black people from Nigeria, but the Christian black people from Nigeria are not prone to do crimes and stuff, way less crimes, or have broken families compared to the Caribbean blacks or compared to the other sub-Saharan blacks and stuff. They can't even have this discussion.
Yeah, well, it's hard because like how far do you break down the demographics to get more details? Like, because there are different levels of resolution.
Yeah.
Because like you just go black, that's a really, really basic, like low level resolution. And then you go like, where they from, and then you go which religion they are, or what kind of upbringing, what type of household they are. You get more and more details as you come out. So I mean,
even with the Nigerians, they speak like so many different languages, and they have different ethnicities within Nigeria. It's like it's not just one ethnicity over there.
Yeah, but well, yeah.
Yeah, but like bringing it to an end, because I said I would keep it within an hour, and see, I always do that. I forgot. I get carried away.
It's all right. It's all right. Yeah. I'm gonna. Right, it's 8:00. It's okay. I'm definitely gonna hit the gym.
Yeah,
definitely gonna hit the gym. Yeah,
but like, bringing it to a close and stuff. I think so. This is why all of what we've talked about and more is why the new media is so important, because people might be scared that in these spaces there might be no censorship and blah blah, and people can do whatever they want. They can influence, the bad people can influence people. But I think so it's good to have the ideas out, so that different thinkers, different better thinkers can help people, can help us come to the point where we want to come to, or help us understand things better when it's out in the open, rather than being cagey about stuff, not being able to say things.
What we want to do is to broaden everybody's perspective, so that we slowly push the Overton window, so that for like a lot of the things that we're talking about these days, like maybe like 2-3 years ago, people were like, oh my god, but now they're like, okay, well, we're listening.
Yeah.
So yeah, for example, like, even MPs would talk about Tommy Robinson now. Before they would just be like, no, can't talk about it. So we need to push that over the window so that everything is acceptable to talk about. There shouldn't be any topic that's off the table.
Yeah.
You might disagree with people's views, but there's nothing that should be off the table and not talked about.
And how it used to be, I think so. I don't know, like in Pakistan or in Kuwait, when I was growing up, it used to be like that. Like, okay, the only barrier was that you couldn't speak against Islam, right? So that was a big censorship.
Yeah.
But even in certain communities, like I had like the group of friends and stuff, like I criticized Islam between them and stuff. Nobody wanted to kill me or stuff like that. But like, if you can find that, but generally, like, I think so the West used to be open about, being able to discuss things, being able to disagree, being able to have uncomfortable conversations, basically, because that's what we are missing. People just want to hear you say what they agree with, and that's it. Like, they don't want to have uncomfortable situation. They will avoid you. They avoid getting on a call with someone. Like, you can see the social awkwardness that is coming through.
If you look at like old television where people used to have debate, the level of discourse is so much higher now. Now it just looks like a bunch of morons. They used to actually be able to articulate themselves and actually talk about the subject in a way that like modern politicians couldn't. Modern politicians are just parroting the same point. It'd be like, oh, diversity, equity, blah 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 blah. They don't actually have anything when you go through it.
There's no substance.
Did you see? Yeah. Did you see the Liz Truss interview with Stu?
What the hell was that? Like, it showed how, like, I was like, what? how stupid are you? Like, what are you talking about?
She's like her mind is like nothing in there. It's like it's hollow.
Yeah,
They just walk in, and those are the people that are supposed to be the elites. You're like,
yeah.
they don't know shit. They don't know what they're doing.
She was supposed to be the prime minister. She was supposed to be
I
leading the finance and stuff. Like, I was like, well, what the
I
hell?
can't even trust her. I can't even trust her to brush her teeth.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
like it was, you know.
yeah. They just like run on emotions now, and that's it. Like, whatever, however you wind them up, they go ahead and do that.
Yeah,
Such low caliber.
it's,
But it's also because our society as a whole has become low caliber. You know.
yes. I think social media has a lot to do with it as well
Mm,
because the low attention span.
yeah.
Like everything is like having short 30 seconds, boom,
Mm,
and people outsource their memory to the
yeah.
mobile devices as well, so
That's a
they'll
very good
remember
point.
things. I remember like I used to remember everybody's phone numbers. I still
Yeah.
remember
Yeah.
I still remember our family home phone number
Yeah.
in Hong Kong.
But
But
did you go through that period when they started allowing calculators in school? Because before, when I was growing up, there was no
yeah,
calculators, right? You have to
there were
learn
no
the times
calculators.
table, and I knew the times table, and now I
Yeah.
realize that I'm really bad at times table now. Well, I was
Oh,
really good
what?
at it.
Oh, what you don't use, you lose.
Yeah, exactly. But that's the thing, because people started off like like you said, outsourcing their memory, and people
Mm.
don't realize how important it is. It's not just like accessibility to the information. The more that we have made information accessible, it seems like we have taken away that struggle that people should have to learn about something, so that way they get the wisdom from the knowledge
Yeah,
that they're
no.
gaining.
The problem is right. You've got access to information, so the information is at your fingertips, but you have not internalized it.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
without internalizing it, you don't have the understanding, the deep enough
yeah,
understanding, so that when you're in a conversation with someone, they say something, you instantly connect to it, and you can actually make the connection because it's external.
yeah,
It's like on an external hard drive. You can't. It's like, oh, wait, give me a minute.
yeah.
And then you have to, access it, and then go, oh yeah, that's what it was. Yeah, that's what it was. You don't have it because it's not a part of your
Yeah.
it's not a part of your knowledge base. It's not a part of
Mm,
this. You haven't converted that into your wisdom.
yeah.
It's just
Yeah, and
that is
that's why we don't understand the applications of things. So we just take everything for face value. We become surface thinkers. Like, that's how we let other people who understand this take control of things, because the few people would understand this and they can control of things. And then on top of that, we are delving into AI technologies that are beyond our current understanding as well.
well, you know what? Soon, nobody will know how to write like a simple letter
Yeah,
because you go to Chat GPT, go letter to grandma,
they're using it
birthday
in
letter to grandma.
they're using it in companies and in local government and in civil service as well. Chat GPT to do
Mm.
they're starting to integrate that. I was like, you guys are already stupid enough not to understand
But
biases.
that's the thing because if you don't use it, those that use it will be more efficient than you are, and
Mm,
therefore the market drives towards using it. So it's inevitable.
yeah,
So
like
you
and
have
especially like introducing in government like something like Chat GPT, where we already know Chat GPT is one politically left, like it's biased
mm,
whatever is giving outcomes. So you let Chat GPT make decisions for you or make policies for you or help you with that, you're going to be influenced. So it's sort of like
yeah.
whoever is it's sort of like the
It's like the
scheme from
puppet master
yeah, the
is
globalist elite was like,
controlling from the
well, I'm
background.
getting you over there anyway, so you're going to be influenced, because a lot of people don't think it's going to just become a process just becomes knowledge for them and fact for them then
He's kind of like people like the normies using Google as a search engine, but
yeah,
they're not aware of the political bias
yeah,
because to them it'll be like it's just a tool, so they don't know every time they use it they're actually like they're actually reading more into deeper into the propaganda that they're
mm,
trying to push to you because they think it's a neutral tool.
yeah.
That's the problem.
And soon
Yeah.
like Chat GPT will like, oh yeah, Islam is a religion of peace and
Well,
Britain should be Muslim.
Elon Musk is supposed to what is his AI called again?
um
Rook or something?
I forgot his,
It's
yeah,
got
it's on Twitter, isn't it? Like the
it's like Rook or something. Can't remember what it
Grok
was.
or something like that, isn't it?
Rock, yeah, something like that.
Yeah, I can't remember. Grok or something, I think so it is.
Croc, yeah, my
Yeah, Grok,
Grok,
or
might
yeah.
have, yeah,
I mean,
something like that.
thank God for him, because if it wasn't for him, there would be no fight back. He is the only fight back. And
Well, yeah.
I know people say like he's infiltrated himself and stuff because he's working with China and stuff like that. It's like, bro,
I
it's
don't
not
think
that.
I don't think it's infiltrated. I think he still has to make
He
this
has to do it.
financial decision because
Yeah.
he's a businessman.
Yeah.
So you have to work with this. You have to work with the system that is given to you. Otherwise, you just can't exist.
Yeah.
I mean, they're trying to remove him. I mean, like look at what's happening in Brazil.
Mm.
Yeah, they trying to ban it, like Twitter effectively in Brazil.
Yeah.
And France banned Rumble.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
So you know, like that they are dangers for them, like, you know.
yeah. Well, the only reason to ban anything is because they're afraid of them.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, why would you be afraid of people talking to each other? Interesting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it just brings you back to communism, isn't it? Like this is why they don't let you. They didn't let people talk to each other. They didn't let people congregate. You know, because they know when people talk, that's when they
Yeah.
like start
Well,
sharing
he's
things.
actually like he's basically like a cult, like how the cult trying to disassociate you from your family members,
Yeah.
from your friends, and then you only talk to cult members, and then whenever somebody else is not in it, you don't talk to them. It's the same. It's the
Yeah.
same.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. So it's like I think so. That's a good point to end on. I'll
Yep.
start my own cult soon as well. The Brotherhood of Mo.
Excellent.
Brotherhood of Mo.
All right. Send me an invite.
Thank you so much for coming on. I'll put all the
Oh, no,
links in
thanks
the
for the invite.
description. And yeah, I'll see you guys next time. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.